Guys, it's finally time to talk about the whole what's up everybody, Dimensional Hole update part 1. There's gonna be this, you know what they gave us? Early access to a lot of information, and then they also, before they even wanted us to do the videos, they just plopped out all this extra information that's like more than they even gave us. So I was like, cool. Like a couple of the other influences, like we were under NDA, we could not talk about any of it. But a couple of the other influencers were even like, this is more information than I have that they just released to the public before I'm even supposed to be doing a video on it. So all the information that they, like, it seems like all the like if we just posted the videos on the information that we had, people would be like, you didn't talk about all this other stuff. And we'd be like, I know, because they didn't say anything about all that other stuff. So yeah, they gave us not as much as they showed everyone else. So anyway. But everything's all available now in the developer's note. Also in the With Hive website, there's videos. There was a press conference in Korea as well, so we'll be able to talk about all that stuff. But basically everything's already out in the open, plus more stuff than I even knew. So I'm not saying anything that's not, like, I now don't have any special information aside from everything that's already public. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's talk about, actually before we start that, I want to take a look at, this is a Dimensional Hole official trailer. This is from the, this is a really cool trailer from the Hive website. So I want to take a look at, I want to show. This is very cool. It gives a good idea of what it is though. Or a good starter hype trailer. Let's go. So we saw this first part already, though. And then it continues. They just showed us the first, like, very little bit. And now we go into it. In a fire we go.
Unleash your beast. The Dimension Hole.
Okay, so we get an idea of, I mean, we don't get an idea, but I'll explain kind of. So what's happening? We're going into, this is what, I mean, it kind of says, it says Secondary Awakening. We're getting Secondary Awakenings on units. Not all of the units. We're just going to see a few units at the start, and then they're going to roll out. I don't know what the timetable is on what units they're going to roll out when, but we're going to see Secondary Awakenings on things. So what happens with Secondary Awakenings? When we awaken monsters the first time, we see they get new skills, they increase their base stats, but mostly they get new skills or strengthen the skills they already have. So this is a Secondary Awakening. Their intent basically is to take the less used monsters in the game and the ones that were previously cherished and loved, which we can see based on the developer's note in a second. But the monsters that are previously like the Fire Inugami, YDCB is very excited, I'm sure. And that's what we're seeing here. The Fire Inugami, he looks different at the end. He's got his Secondary Awakening, but they're going to be buffed up. I mean, they're not buffing the Fire Inugami. They're second awakening the Fire Inugami and other things, and they're going to be, or I think Inugamis in general, or in a lot of other things, but they're going to be buffing a lot. Not Bagels. You keep saying buff, not buff. Monsters will have Secondary Awakenings, and they will have stronger skills and possibly even new skills. So we see here the Fire Inugami. Blah blah. We go into the dungeon of the Fire Inugami, the Inugami dungeon. We fight against the Inugami boss. Basically, this is what it is. We fight against the Inugami boss. If we defeat the Inugami boss, we awaken our Inugami. We have to bring in the Inugami. It'll say that in the thing, but that's showing the actual second awakening of the Fire Inugami. Very hype. He will not be a meme anymore. He was, I mean, he would be usable by everyone, not just YDCB, is what I meant to say. But yeah, very hype. Fire Inugami, Secondary Awakening. looks really cool. So basically, in these secondary awakening things for the dimensional hole, you have to fight with one of the units that you're trying to awaken. So we'll go through. I just wanted to show that at first. I think we got some more music. Yeah, of course we have some more music, but I just wanted to show that at first, and we'll talk about this. Okay. So now I have Dimensional Hole Update Part 1. Ancient. Is this the right audio level? I hope. Make it a little bit lower. Okay. So basically, we have Ancient Guardians. Oh my god, it's so much. Like, there's so much that I hope that I remember to say everything. I really do. Today we're here to share some stories about the upcoming Dimensional Hole update that everyone is waiting for. As you can guess from its name, Dimensional Hole, this update is focused on summoners and other dimensions. So you're basically traveling to another dimension, different dimensions that will be new rules and unique characteristics. Let's go over it one by one. Okay, so we see already in the first picture, it says Dimensional Hole 84 out of 100 energy. This is a different energy. This is not the same energy. This is a different energy that's only for the Dimensional Hole. This has an energy cap of 100. It does not refill like the regular energy does, where it like you refills and then you just farm. This I believe the number is one energy every battle takes 1 energy to do, right? Also, it refills, I think once every 2 hours, it refills 1 energy. So you have over the course of a day of it refilling, if the numbers that I'm thinking of are correct, it's going to be 12 energy per day. So you only get 12. You don't have to do it 12 times in one day. You can let the energy rack up over the course of a couple days and then farm the Dimensional Hole for a day. But basically, it's going to be 1 energy to get into a level. There's going to be 5 different difficulties. Each difficulty is just going to be 1 energy to get in, regardless of the difficulty, though. So Scenario Summoners Adventure, but I just wanted to explain the 84 out of 100 energy. It's a totally different energy system. I really hope I say everything that I want to say. But again, this is just the stuff. There was a press conference as well that was talking about all this stuff in Korea. I'll go for extra stuff at the end just so I don't leave anything out, I guess. Dimension Karzan and Dimension Alunia. So the Alunia is like a fairy type dimension, and then the Dimension Karzan is going to be a animal type dimension. So I guess the Inugami is going to be from the Dimensional Karzan, and then the fairies type units are going to be from Alunia, and then there's going to be more. Like, you see that there's spots for more as time progresses. So see the Dimensional Hole, tap the Dimensional Hole area, etc., etc. Do you feel like you were transported to another dimension? With the first update, 2 dimensions will open as shown in the image. The 2 dimensions will be Karazhan of the Brave Beasts and Alunia of Wise Fairies. And they were talking about they wanted the graphics to represent like the units that are being secondary awakening in those. First off, you will be using Dimensional Hole energy, a new type of energy in the Dimensional Hole. 100 Dimensional Hole energy, 1 dimensional. Why is it telling me to set up OneDrive? Thank you, Microsoft. Good timing. Does Microsoft ever have good timing? 100 dimension. You can have up to 100 dimensional hole energy. We talked about 1 dimensional hole energy. Use 1 battle of each dimension. Like the energy, dimensional hole energy will also be charged by a fixed time. Take longer. Unlike 1 energy be charged every 5 minutes in the rest of the game, right? Regular energy. 1 dimensional hole energy will be charged every 2 hours. I already talked about this. Since it will take longer the time to have the dimensional hole energy fully charged, entrance limit will automatically occur. Why can't I talk? Entrance limit will automatically occur. So we cannot farm this all day, every day, and like, oh, that's another thing I gotta spend 12 hours a day farming. Like, no, you have limited amount of farming that you can do. It is gated because you only have, it's kind of like the Labyrinth in the fact that it's limited by the amount of things you do. But with Labyrinth, it's different. How it's different, Labyrinth is like, oh, well, there's so many different little stages in Labyrinth. It's like, do I build a new team for every single little stage just to farm it once? That doesn't make any sense. This, you could farm it 100 times, right? You farm it 100 times, it's the same stage, so of course you want to build a team for it and not just throw random monsters. You could probably throw random monsters to some extent. Probably, but 5 different difficulties though. And it's supposed to be harder than Kairos Dungeon, is what they said. Is what I think was translated from the press conference. But again, the Labyrinth was supposed to be harder than the Kairos Dungeon as well. But I wonder if this is something that's going to be really hard at first and then also gets nerfed. It seems like they might be... I don't know, they weren't like going too crazy about like it's going to be so hard like with Labyrinth. They were like really like trying to push how hard it was going to be, and then it was too hard and then they had to nerf it. So I guess this is... I wouldn't expect this to be as hard as the Labyrinth. But this is something you're going to be able to... you would want to casually farm it, but it's not going to be like crazy amount of farming. You can farm like... You can do like 1 day a week in the Dimensional Hole. And you don't... I mean, and you won't be able to do 12 hours a day every single day. You'll only be able to do just a little bit, because it's... Like I said, you only have 12... Basically, 12 energies per day is what the game gives you. 1 energy every 2 hours. Dimension key point, entrance limit. Did I say everything over here? Energy. Oh, Dimensional Hole energy will be provided in limited routes and become an item that cannot be acquired easily. So also, they did mention that they don't want this to be like a pay-to-win thing where they want to have Dimensional Hole energy packs. We'll see if that changes. I don't know, but they might have this for like events, or you can get it from the Ancient Coin Shop or something like that. Get Dimensional Hole energy, or like get Dimensional Hole energy from certain like events in the events page. We might see something like that. I'm not sure. Dimensional key point entrance limit. Okay, so this is interesting as well. Each dimension will have a unique entrance limit condition. Only the monsters that meet this condition can enter the battle. Dimension Karzan and Elunia will have the following entrance limits. Karzan only, so this is the Inugami one. Inugami's and similar stuff. Only develop 4-star or lower grade monsters can enter battles, so no Nat 5s. Dimension Elunia, only monsters of the same attribute can enter battles. So, like water and water, wind and wind, etc., etc. We have been introducing special rules with our new content updates. For example, we have a rule in the Trial of Ascension hard mode: same monster cannot be used. 4-star bases in Siege Battle, 20-star bases in World Hard Arena. This just talking about the things that are already there. These special rules encourage the users to grow new monsters and build new monster decks, so they want people to build more than just like use the same 10 monsters. We believe this process, which can bring challenges in some aspects, creates new fun in the game. For this update, we set our goal to provide another unique gameplay that users can experience only in the Dimensional Hole, which is created by both the entrance limits and the new skills of the Dimension bosses. All kinds of decks that the summoners build and come up with in various game contents are always interesting to see. We are hyped to see what decks the summoners will build. A lot of people already like say, twins and friend. Twins and friend, twins and friend. New boss monsters, Ancient Guardians. They kind of look like the Labyrinth bosses, though. A little bit, right? A little bit. Please take a look at the image below first. So we have Dimension Karzan and Dimension Elunia. This is the fair type thing. I already said that 9,000 times. Look at all these strong-looking monsters. Are they strong-looking monsters? They look like Labyrinth. Before going into depth, we want to share the development process and the Ancient Guardians. While planning, we had one idea. We thought it'd be cool to have the boss monster summoning monsters like the summoners. We also imagined that creating big synergy of the boss and its summoned monsters as a whole group. While having these basic concepts, we thought, how cool would it be to have the boss monster use a unique skill that's created by the combination of special abilities of 2 summoned monsters. So they want the things to work together. For instance, some of this stuff is brutal. For instance, the Wind Chimera's Lightning Strike skill, which attacks all enemies and stuns them, and the Wind Phoenix Tempest skill, which resets its skill cooldown. They want the bosses to do AoE destroy the entire everything. Every time an enemy is defeated, we're combined and developed into a new special skill. Dear God, help us. We wanted to see some more skill combinations of various monsters, so we designed a battle to have a total of 3 phases. 3 phases. So you go into a dungeon, it's got 3 different phases. In other words, the Ancient Guardian will use special skills in each phase. See which monsters the Ancient Guardian of Karzan will summon in each phase. So much. Ancient Guardian skills in the skill chart, but you guys kind of get like the overall idea of it, I hope. In the skill chart, you'll see the Power of Beast skills. These unique skills that the Ancient Guardian uses with the combination of summoned monster skills. Let's move on to the summoned monsters of the Dimension of Elunia's Ancient Guardian. So he's got some skills. Here's the skills. Ancient Strike attacks all enemies 1 time, weakens their defense for 1 turn. 50% chance. This attack ignores all effects that resist death. So this is like Light Joker, Rip Hall of Heroes, Triana, Garrow, all that stuff resists things that resist death. The attack speed, Principle of Casualty passive. The attack speed increases whenever the Ancient Guardian or minions get attacked from the enemies. So you attack them, and then they speed buff themselves. The increased attack speed resets at the start of each turn. The attack power increases permanently whenever the Ancient Guardian gets a turn. Crap. So, the longer the match goes, the more times they're going to move compared to you. Very scary. Minions, Unity of Corazon passive. Remember, 5 difficulties. 5 difficulties. God help us that try to... This is going to be... It feels like it's going to be pretty hard. On the hardest difficulty. Like, really challenging. Minions of the Ancient Guardian are granted with the ability that removes a beneficial effect or an enemy with a 50% chance with each attack. Removes a beneficial effect of 50% with each attack. If the minion is alive, the Ancient Guardian's attacks won't land as glancing hits. Great. Great. So doesn't land as glancing hits. He kills through passives that resist death. He defense breaks. He strips and defense breaks. And he keeps increasing his attack speed passively. Sounds great. Sounds like an easy boss, right? Power of Beast Soar passive. Phase 1 stuns the enemy for 1 turn if the attack lands a critical hit. It strips and stuns. Okay, so strips first. One of the minions' attack bar increases by 100% after the enemy is attacked. Combo that with the Water Garuda. One of the minions on the sides increases attack gauge, and then the Water Garuda just increases the boss's attack gauge and gives him attack power buff. Is that what I'm seeing? Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because it says some monsters, Water Garuda and Dark Griffin right underneath it. So, if the minion's attack gauge increases by 100, and then the boss, he just skill 2s on the boss. Boss has attack buff and destroys everything. Power of Beast Hunt attacks the enemies with minions on both sides. The inflicted damage from the Ancient Guardian's attacks is proportional to the Guardian's lost HP. So the longer it goes, the more he's gonna do. This is just brutal. Fire Nagami and Wind Warrior. So I mean, he's basically taking the skills, attacks enemies with minions on both sides. That's what the Fire Nagami does, and damage proportion to the Guardian's lost HP. That's what the Warbear does. So he's taking the things from both the different enemies, from both his allies that he's fighting with, and using it against you. So he's Fire Nagami plus Wind Warbear combined as okay. It's pretty strong. It's pretty crazy. Then Power of Beast Vigor, Phase 3, attacks all enemies to decrease their attack power for 2 turns, stuns them for 1 turn. The cooldown gets reset if an enemy gets defeated. So he comes in with the Wind Chimera and the Wind Phoenix, and he has the Power of Beast skill that is basically like Maron's skill 3 and Tashar's skill 3 in one skill. Okay. So yeah, he seems pretty insane. He seems very, very strong. I have no idea how we're going to beat him. What kind of skills would the Dimensional Lunia's Ancient Guardian have? We're sorry to say this, but we will only reveal the Ancient Guardian skills of Karzan for now. Because this is too scary. Look at this. If that wasn't scary enough, if these monsters weren't scary enough, we see for the summon monsters in here, Wind Pixie, Water Fairy, okay, not very scary. Water Dryad, Fire Druid, a little scarier. Light Fairy King, Light Fairy Queen. I'm sorry, but what is he gonna do? Attack, power buff, immunity, and ignore defense on the whole team? Like, what? Okay. Okay. And you want us to beat this how? How are we supposed to beat this content? I'm all ears. I'm all ears. This seems very difficult. We were discussing one of our exciting features, Battle Clear rewards. So, these are basically new runes, but not new runes. Not like, oh, these runes are gonna be this crazy, it's gonna give you this special skill. It's not, they're just stronger versions of runes. Battle rewards of ancient runes, ancient grindstones, ancient gems will be available. Random item among the ancient rune grindstone gem will be given as a clear reward. The higher the difficulty of the battle you clear, the better quality reward box you can get. Kind of similar to Labyrinth as far as like the better, but I've seen some crazy things dropping from those normal levels. I've seen some legendary gems dropping from the normal levels. but you want to farm hard here. Whereas like on Labyrinth, it's only 5 entrances a day. I would say just do the Labyrinth entrances, and who cares what, like if you're doing normal, fine, do normal, whatever. This, it's like you kind of want to build a team for the hardest difficulty, or that one of the hardest, as hard as you can do, right? As hard as you can do. There is more incentive to go harder because you're going to be farming it rather than just doing it once. You know what I mean? Labyrinth, you just do it once. I'm not going to build a team for doing one thing once. So anyway, by now you'd be curious how these ancient rune grindstone gems work. Ancient is not the superior grade of the existing rune. Ancient is not the superior grade of existing rune grades. Normal, magic, rare, hero, legend. It is not. It is not like one step up from legend. It's like legend plus. You can have, like, think about it like this way. Like, you have a magic plus, rare plus, hero plus, legend plus. Just think of it like as a plus on the end of one of those. So it's like so the best thing to acquire is a legend, an ancient legend gem, ancient legend rune. So I know this might be getting confusing, but maybe we need a drink. We need a drink. Bagel needs a drink. I just want to make sure I give all the 20 minutes. Jeez. 20 minutes. Please think of it as a new grade added to existing rune grades. Ancient, rare, ancient. Oh, I literally just said that. Okay, cool. Well, I said plus. I said plus, but it's basically, yeah. We're on the same page, come to us for once. The difference between the existing, and I really think that this is what they needed to do. Like, I think I even mentioned it before in videos. Like, not necessarily this, but the way they needed to, like, so you're still farming Kairos Dungeon, but eventually you need to farm these new runes, or in a year or two from now, you're gonna get left behind if all you have, like, maybe, I don't know, I feel like maybe in like, yeah, maybe like a year or two from now, the people that have the ancient grade stuff are just gonna be better, right? So like a lot of the stuff that we have now are kind of gonna be very slowly, we're still gonna be able to use it for a long time, don't worry. We're still going to be able to use it for a long time, but very slowly, there's going to be a power shift towards the ancient grade runes because they're just going to be more stat efficient. But a couple things to note. They already said that they're not going to have violent here. This is not going to be violent. I don't know if they're going to have swift, but they did say in the press event that there's not going to be any violent, which we're going to see in a second. Which ones drop from where? I got a burp, sorry. Think of it as a new grade added to, oh, we already read that part. Difference between the existing runes and the ancient rune is that the ancient rune has a bit higher value on initial sub-property, right? So let's say if we have a normal rune, the main stat is going to be the same, but the substats, like let's say for example, I have like, oh, I have a despair rune that's HP slot. Let's say it's a blue HP slot for despair rune, and it's got defense and it's got speed, right? So normally it would have between 5 and 8 defense and 4 to 6 speed for a regular despair rune. For a despair rune of the ancient quality, it would have still same main stat, still same HP main stat, right? It's not going to be higher, but it's going to have between 6 to 10 defense and 5 to 7 speed. Okay? So it's going to be just a little bit stronger. It's going to be a little bit more stat efficient, a little bit better stats. Now, these, from what I understand, from what people are saying, are going to still roll the same. When they power up, they're still going to roll the same as the current runes. So if a speed power up, it's not going to be 7 speed every roll. You're not going to be able to 7 speed, 7 speed, 7 speed, 7 speed. Like, and then that's going to be like, oh my God, it's crazy, right? It's going to still be a maximum of 6 speed when it upgrades, but it's going to have the potential to be 7 speed when you get it. So it's just stronger when you get it. It has just a slightly better stats overall when you get it. Also, the ancient runes are you need to power them up with the ancient gems and the ancient grinds. So they're not like interchangeable. Like, oh, I have a despair rune from what I have, from the information that I have currently. It's going to be like they're not going to be transferable. It's like, oh, I have a regular despair. Well, you can be able to stick it on ancient grind. The regular despair gem, they need their own ancient grade gems and grinds. So, I hope you're increasing the inventory, Comtuous. I hope you're increasing the grind and gem inventory, because we will absolutely need it now. Because we're just gonna have so many different things. So many different things. Oh my god. But it's not gonna be like something where you have to farm all day every day. I really want to stress that. That is not, you farm all day, farm 12 hours of farming this. Like, you want to prioritize farming this first, not let it overfill to over 100 energy. You want to like make sure you keep it like refilling, and not cap out and just like stop. So you would like prioritize farming this, and then when it's done, go back to giants, dragons, necros, stuff like that. But anyway, hopefully this. I mean, the table kind of shows nicely enough. But like, for example, like I said with the rune, you get like a 5 to 7 speed when it starts. Like, you can get an HP percentage, and then you have like a 10 defense and 7 speed, and then you can upgrade it, and it rolls another 6 speed, and then it rolls like another. I mean, it's probably not gonna roll 6 speed because it's still Summoner's War, but it can roll the same as like I think actually it says it right here. The value that increases with power-ups will be the same for existing runes and ancient runes. The value that increases with power-ups every time you power it up will be the same for existing runes, numerical value, and the ancient runes, numerical value. So it's just the base stats when you first get it is going to be the difference. We tried to balance the ancient runes. Existing runes will still have their utility and importance in the game. They're not phasing out the current runes, especially things like violent runes, because they're not going to have. So all your violent runes are still valuable. Don't worry. Just things like the 2 sets are going to be really great to have ancient runes. You're going to have a lot of value out of the ancient rune 2 sets now. You're going to see a lot of people having the ancient rune 2 sets. And they do have will in here. Will is part of this. We tried to balance. We wanted to emphasize that we designed the ancient runes to be a desirable reward without harming the value of existing runes by providing the ancient runes via content with entrance limits, limited entrances. I just said the same thing a different way, but I just want to like stress that this is not like pay to play. Oh well, people are just gonna farm it all day and they're just gonna be super OP. Like, this kind of like balances, because everyone can only afford a certain amount of times. So it kind of balances the people that want to farm like crazy between the people that want to be like more casual and don't want to be left behind, which is nice. Which I think the people that are more casual and don't want to like farm crazy should focus a lot on this. They get the more value out of focusing on this. So anyway, structure of the ancient grind gemstones will be the same as ancient runes. The stat value of grindstone gem is constant, so we'll show another chart with the details. So we can just see that the ancient gems and grindstones are just stronger. Just more stat efficient overall. Those extra crit rate and crit damage though, those little extra pieces, those add up. And little accuracy and resistance pieces, those add up as well. So anyway, just better versions of some of the runes, not all of the runes that we currently have. There's not all of the runes are included in these. By the way, you cannot use, it says, also please note, I already said this, but also please note that the ancient grindstones gems can only be used on ancient runes. Ancient grindstones gems, ancient runes. You cannot use other grindstones gems on ancient runes. You know what, this developer note says it better than I do, actually. I like go in these like loops around, and it looks like I go in like spaghetti loops trying to say things, and it's like, just read the one sentence, Bagel. There's a one sentence right there that explains it very nicely and perfectly. Lastly, the types of ancient rune, ancient grindstones, ancient gems will be dropped in each dimension are as follows. Here is what is important. Dimension Karazhan, the one with the fire Nagami and stuff like that. That is going to have Rage, Blade, Nemesis, Endure, and Energy. For the most part, Endure and Energy we don't care about, just like we don't care about in the rest of the game. Nemesis only sometimes we care about, and then the Blade I think is going to be less. I mean, of course, Rage is the kind of important one, but it's mostly about Stats. It's mostly just about small upgrades to stat values and stat efficiency, which is a big thing in... It's a big thing. I mean, little bits make a difference. Little bits make it... Like, if you have 2% more attack on 6 runes, that's 12% more attack. So we're going to see monsters that were doing a certain amount of damage. I mean, we're not going to see this right away. It's going to take time to actually acquire all of these resources, but we're going to see things that were before doing 50,000 damage, doing like 55, 60,000 damage. So, we're gonna see bigger numbers. You can never have a bigger number than Lanet Consulus. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Anyway, you can, we already saw. And then Dimension Lunia, which is the fairy one, has Despair, Accuracy, Nemesis. They have 2 Nemesis, Endure, and Will. They have 2 Nemesis and 2 Endure? Why? Is there a reason for that? Was that a typo? That's weird that they both... Is that not weird that they both have Nemesis Endure? I think that might be a typo. I'm not sure. I don't know. They already said they weren't going to do Violent, though. They said it in a press event, apparently. This is the first part of the Dimensional Hold Developers Update. Update Developers Note. We hope that this Developer Note got you even more excited about the upcoming update. Be aware that the Developer's Note has not been written to blah, blah, blah. Story of Dimensional Hole. I think we basically have the gist of it, though. We basically have it's the Second Awakenings, and it's improved runes. It's improved. Too long didn't watch. 31 minutes later. 31 minutes later. Let's take a look at this this video, though. Let's take a look at this video. You guys get the basic idea, though. I mean, the basic idea. I mean, actually, I should probably turn this off. And turn this up. I hope there's a good audio level.
이 차학성 던전의 보스는 차원 던전과 다르게
I
이 차학성
think
된
you can still hear both of
더욱더
us, I don't know.
주인공이 되어야 한다는 생각이 들었고 그래서 양쪽의
Maybe you could
이
just watch this,
차학성 몬스터의 스킬을 더욱 빛나게 할 수 있는 기믹이나 오브젝트를 구성하게
Actually, I don't
되었습니다.
even need to have this that loud.
하지만 꼭 이 던전의 보스만이 그 주인공은 아닙니다. 예를 들어
So we can talk over him.
차학성 던전에 입장하기 위해서는 소환사 여러분의
Why is it so small? Oh, you know what?
입장해야 합니다. 결국
Because I was supposed to do this. That's why.
주인공이 되는 것이죠.
That's why I was supposed to do it. I'm not good at my job, guys. I'm not good at my job. Oh my god. So we see that's the Elune place. That's the second one. This was I think this was on stage in the background on stage during. You don't need to watch the rest of this if you don't want to. I basically covered all of it, and we covered all of it in the developer's note as well. But Hype Beast by the Dimensional Hole. Wait, what? Did I skip to the end somehow? I think I skipped to the end. I think when I think the number hotkeys skip it or something. I don't know. But yeah, this is basically just saying, do we even need to see this? You guys could see this on your own as well. But Bagel, you want those extra ad breaks, don't you? Not really. I probably should. I probably should. Extra ad breaks, you say. But this is a good... I really don't see the need to comment on a video that's already... You know, we could do this. We could stick the music on. It's not in English anyway. But yeah, mysterious, dreamy atmosphere. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. But I think I already mentioned this, actually, that they tried to make it so that it looked a certain way. Fairy Lake. Does that not look like the Labyrinth units, though? Ooh. What is that? I didn't see that one before, actually. I did not see that one before. The little earth crack thing. Maybe this is just part of when you go into it. Shoot, it's beautiful. Oh, yes, she's very beautiful. Gorgeous, adorable. That looks like a Labyrinth unit. I mean, it makes sense. Of course, it's Summoner's War. It should look like a Summoner's War unit. But yes, the bosses have different designs. We get that. You know, it's actually only a... Oh, yeah, they talk about the skill sets, how they want the units to kind of make sense and take inspiration from the different units that were going with them. We needed to wait this many years for this? Wasn't it supposed to come out in 2017? And this is not even the whole thing either. Like, we have a few secondary awakenings that are available now, and then we're gonna have more secondary awakenings in the future. But this is actually a really cool thing to be able to see a little bit more of the in-battle things, where you see like, oh, this is the boss, and he also has a Fire Nagami and a Wind Warbear next to him. And they don't really say too much about which units are getting secondary awakenings. I do have some information on that, but I cannot. Stay tuned for the next video or stream or whatever, and I will tell you. There's gonna be not gonna be all of them. All like every single one is getting his second awakening right now. So I won't say which ones are and which ones aren't at the beginning, but there's some that are getting secondary awakenings, and then some that are not. And also you have to actually, I have some more information pulled up here from the press event that I will go over as well while we're watching this. Because I do have more data, don't I? Let me see. Secondary awaken. This we already talked about. They want secondary awakenings to basically be, so this is a point, I kind of said this, secondary awakening can only be done for 2 and 3 star monsters. We realized 2 and 3 star monsters were becoming obsolete, so they want to make them not obsolete. They want to still keep the 2 and 3 star monsters relevant. Fran! So we can already see, well, I mean, you know what, they already said it, they show it there. Wind Pixie, Wind Warbear, secondary awakenings. So we already see those units getting secondary awakenings. So we're seeing Pixie, Warbear, Fairy, Inugami. It's literally on the screen. And they're just talking about how they wanted it to be different from transmogs. So they have the different things around them. What did they called it? Charming points. That's right. They called it charming points. Oh, here's some actual information on the secondary awakening. What skills they have. This is from the just stuff from the press event. Fire Nagami's secondary awakening example. First skill will have increased defense break percentage. Second skill will have all team members attacking together. Third skill, all team members attacking together. All team members. Fire Nagami, all team members attacking together. That's pretty insane. That's very insane. Third skill will have a cooldown reset if an enemy is killed. So then you can use the AoE attack again. That kind of makes the vampire pretty insane. The dark vampire that we were talking about in the last video. There's a nice that water Inugami looks really cool now, actually. Dungeon for secondary awakening will have 5 stages. Your team will have 4 monsters, one of which needs to be a secondary awakened monster. So if you want to do the Fire Nagami, he needs to be in your team as well as 3 other units that you want to bring. But he needs to be in the team. Clearing stage will give XP towards secondary awakening for monsters used. 100 clears of stage 5 will result in secondary awakening. So think about that as far as like the balance points of the easier stages. The hardest stage, you have to do it 100 times to equal 1 awakening. So maybe the easiest one you might have to do 300 times. Maybe like the middle one you might have to do 200 times. I don't know. I'm just speculating the different numbers. I don't have the actual data on that. But the hardest difficulty would be 100 clears. Rewards also include ancient runes and ancient reappraisal stones. We talked about those. 2 more dimensional hall dungeons will come in the future. Might be. It seems like there's gonna be more than 2, but we'll see. What else? Everything else was basically. Hey, it's Childish. Guess who's back? Who's back? Childish didn't leave though. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's basically. I mean, we covered, I believe, everything. I believe that is about everything. So anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't mess up the audio levels too much. I'm kind of concerned that I did that because I didn't check all the audio levels of things that needed to be done. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your comments in the comments section. Also, please don't get too crazy thinking like it's going to be super pay to win. They want it to not be pay to win. The point is to not be pay to win, to be accessible to everyone, to have a non-pay to win. They don't want things to be like balanced so that you need to spend a ton of money. And they want things, they want to make sure that they do not add, which I think is very, very, very important. They do not they do not crap on the quality of runes that we've been farming for 5 years. It's going to be a slow, gradual process to get the new runes, so your runes that you currently have are not going to be devalued. Just slowly, these new runes, you're going to want to farm them, you're going to want to get better stats. Overall, slowly. The new units, Secondary Awakening, the 2 and 3 star bosses are going to be very fun, and it's not going to be a crazy grind fest. I know a lot of people are concerned that it's going to be a crazy grind fest, but not going to be super crazy grind fest. We haven't to add on another 10 hours a day of farming. It was very important to them to make sure that they didn't add, because they can't add extra time to farm that people just don't have, right? They can't be like, oh, you have to farm 75 hours a day. Well, if there's not 75 hours a day. So it was very important, and I think that they did a really, I actually have to agree with the course that Comtois took on this as far as like balancing mechanics. They didn't make the new runes super insane. They made it a slow process to acquire them, and that you can't, they're not adding a ton of extra farming that people have to do. So I really agree with a lot of the, because remember, I was in game dev for a decent amount of time, and I understand like balancing things, and I have to say that I agree with the choices that they made as far as balancing. So anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna go to bed. I will see you as always in the next one.